Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside my beautiful and amazing wife and co-host.
Hey everybody, welcome again to the Speak Life podcast. This is your co-host, the one and only Shika. We are so happy you're here with us today. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to us, watch us, subscribe, and like.
Yeah, so y'all keep rocking with us and we are very appreciative. So shout out to all the listeners, all of the subscribers, all of the first time visitors. If this is your first time, make sure that you make sure that you subscribe. You know, you are definitely appreciated. And you guys are the driving force behind what we do. The fact that, you know, you enjoy what we do, we really do try to continue making content that's going to reach people. And, you know, this is what we do it for. We do it for y'all. We do it for y'all. So if you're enjoying the podcast, and you want to see the podcast get bigger, like we want to see the podcast get bigger, you want to help us take the podcast to the next level, subscribe to the Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/speaklife with PHX and 1. That's our Patreon page. You come, you join for as little as a cup of coffee a month. It's like buying us a cup of coffee a month. You can help us to push this podcast to the next level. We have some big things that we want to, you know, put into place. So, you know, join with us. Help us push the vision. Help us push the vision. So that'll be in the description in the description of the episode. All right. Now that we got the formalities out the way, let's get into it. Now, today we have another interesting topic. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not as versed in this topic as other topics. Other topics, I feel like, you know, I got a great handle on it. This one is going to be interesting because I feel like there's going to be some real good thought that gets provoked and comes from this. Now, the thing we want to talk about today is self-esteem. Now, we started off last week talking about, you know, purpose, and that really segued into, you know, the self-esteem episode that we're going to have today. So just getting into it, we need a working definition for what self-esteem is, you know. So everyone has their different ideas, and we could come with a textbook definition. So I'm gonna ask you, in your own words, what is self-esteem?
For me, it's as simple as how someone look at themselves, how someone feel about themselves.
Okay.
So it's that simple. Even a child could understand that.
Oh, well, excuse me. So when I think about, you know, self-esteem, I always I have a bunch of different things that kind of go along with it. You know, I think of it as like how someone looks at themselves, how someone, you know, views themselves. And then along those lines, I think about how people view their self-worth. How they value themselves. And I think all of those things are really, really tied up in this concept, you know, of, you know, self-esteem and what it is. It's kind of like how do you look at yourself? When you look in the mirror,
what do you see?
What do you see? You know, so with that thought in mind, I would pose this question. How important, in your opinion, is it to have a good self-esteem, and why?
So I think it's important to have a good self-esteem because if you don't, you're pretty much telling people like, you could treat me anyhow.
Oh.
I know growing up, I struggled a lot with self-esteem. And it's because you would have kids can be very mean.
Kids can be cruel. Say it for what it is. Kids children
can be so mean.
Can be
so
cruel.
Growing up, I was very skinny and I was very tall. So kids used to make fun of me. They used to be like, they used to call me like Longilala, and in Jamaican, like if you're Jamaican, you'll understand. So in Jamaica, like I hope it's something that every Jamaican would understand. But that's what they used to
That's
call
probably
me.
just making up stuff.
Or maybe they were just making up. But it did something to me.
Okay.
So I used to hate the fact that I was so tall, because I used to be taller than most of the kids in my class. And I used to think that I was ugly because, some of the kids, they used to be like, you're so ugly. And I'm like, and I used to believe that.
Kids do that though. Like kids can be very, children
I used to believe it until, I start,
can be cruel.
as I get older, well, not older, like, as a teen, I start looking at myself and like, oh, I'm so pretty. And then you would have like friends would say, oh, you're so pretty. I wish I looked like you. And then I'm like, oh, I am pretty. What? So it takes one person to tell you that. And then you're like, oh, wow, I'm pretty. And not having like, I think it starts at home, to be honest. So, if you don't hear it from your parents, if you don't hear it from the people that you're living with, it's kind of like, you don't know.
Hold that thought. You jumping way ahead of where I wanted to go. But actually, no, continue on with that.
Yeah, so you don't really know. I think I forgot the question. But anyhow.
You done went from question one, then hopped into my second question that I wanted to ask. I ain't even get there yet. And you was like, we gonna go there. We gonna go there
I think
right
I
now.
forgot the question. But
No
anyhow,
stops.
I struggled as a kid. I struggled a lot with self-esteem. And I just I had to really tell myself, like, talk to myself like, you're pretty.
Positive self-talk.
And then I would do different things like, make sure my hair is always done, and stuff that I would do for myself to make me feel like I'm so pretty. So what was the question?
Okay, I just asked. I was asking how important it was to have a good self-esteem and why. And you really touched on it. With the if you don't have a good self-esteem, you pretty much tell people they can do whatever you want. And I think the self-esteem piece is really important, because it's like how you view yourself really influences more than just how people view you, but I feel like your self-esteem can influence how you view the world. If you have a low self-esteem and you don't think that you're really worth anything, a low self-worth picture or perspective of yourself, I feel like that will really skew how you look at the world, how you picture people, how you picture situations. It can cause you to be pessimistic, all doom and gloom. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not really worth much. This world is horrible. Life isn't really worth living, and it can really cause you to really look at things in a really negative manner.
Yeah. And I just want to touch base, like last week episode, we talk about purpose. Having low self-esteem can really stop your purpose.
Oh.
It can stop you from getting where God wants you to go. It can stop you from getting where you even want yourself to go.
I think the whole low self-esteem piece can literally stop you in your tracks and make
cripple
you
yeah.
not really want to go much of anywhere or do much of anything.
Yeah.
And even believing that you have purpose on your life, your self-esteem can cripple that thought and really, hinder you from really walking into what is in store for you. And I think like the second question that I was going to ask before you jumped into it was, how much can parents...
I'm going.
You was like, you was Usain Bolt, and I was still back here like, hey, wait for me, I'm back here. I was going to ask that question, like how much, can parents affect their children's self-esteem? And, when you say, it starts at home, I was like, wow, she's there. I ain't even there yet. And she's like, yeah, let's talk about these parents. You parents, you can affect your children's self-esteem.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I know for us, we tell our kids all the time, we're like, oh, you guys are so handsome. And our daughter, like, oh gosh, she hear it so much. She hear it from us, she hear it from her brothers. Like her confidence is gonna be up there. But we try to instill that in our kids. Like, you guys are beautiful inside and out, not just your looks, physical, but like we try to tell our kids something about them, unique about them, that we love, and that a trait that they have that is amazing. So I think it starts at home, where parents, caregiver, need to let their kids know, like, there's something about you that's special. There's something about you that I love. And with that, it helps you. Like, I needed that growing up, but I didn't have that. So when friends start telling me, like, oh, you're this way, you're that way, I believe it.
You know, and they say, like, I had to read up on some of this. I wanted to get like an idea of where I wanted to go. And they say, you know, a lot of, you know, the child's self-esteem coming up really does stem from their parents. Before it even, you know, gets to their, you know, peers, you know, their parents play a major part in the development of their children's self-esteem. And I remember I was listening to, I don't know if it was one of those like articles, like educational journal type articles or something, but I remember it was for one of my classes when I was in school, and it was talking about, especially for like females, like you know women, their like self-esteem is really, a lot of their self-esteem is built up by their relationship with their dads. And I was like kind of shocked by that, because I always thought, I was like, you know, I always thought the dads have more effect on, you know, the boys, you know, the males than, you know, the women. You know, but it's like when I heard that, I was like, wow, like the more you know, so it's like the role that parents have in building up their children is really, really, really important. I think, you know, a lot of times we just think about, you know, all right, well, I'm raising them with, you know, I'm making sure they got, you know, food in their bellies and a roof over their head, you know, and when they start acting up, I can say whatever I want to them because I'm raising these kids, you know, you need to listen to me. But it's like the words that we speak over our children, the words that, you know, they hear, and the way that we raise them up is really important to where, you know, they're going to see their life and the trajectory of their life. And it's not just, you know, about the food. I know providing for children is definitely, yeah. It is, you know, but being able to speak positive and, you know, show them, you know, the good things that they have about them is just as important as providing for them, you know, physically, you know, that emotional piece is huge.
Yeah. And you know what they say, like, you know, sometimes as parents, you get upset at your children and then you just say anything. But, you know, it's always good to like think before you say certain things, because once those words leave your mouth,
you can't get them back. You say them and you're trying to grab them like, no.
You can't take it back. And then that leave a lasting scar on your
children. Hold on to that.
Yeah.
Like I can think of some really mean things that were said to me
it's
as
funny.
As a
you
child.
know what's crazy about it? I think for me, as a child, I remember most of the negative things that were said to me than the positive. Yeah.
Because the positive, like...
It's like the positive kind of overlooked, but all the negatives is like, I could like list every single one of them.
Yeah,
like,
and then they have that silly saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words may never hurt you. That is the biggest lie. The biggest lie. That needs to be cast down in the pit of hell. Because, like, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words
hurt you.
You carry those with you you can carry those with you for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And depending on who it is that speaks those words into your life, that can be something that really does crush your self-esteem and really, and I can't stress it enough. Parents, caregivers, even older family members.
Yeah.
Please take the time to speak positive things in the ones who are coming up behind you. And it could be nieces, it could be nephews, it could be grandchildren.
Cousins, anybody.
Speak positive things into the lives of the people coming up behind you, because you don't understand the damage that you can do to the self-esteem.
And their purpose depends on it. Their purpose definitely depends on it.
Can change the whole trajectory of their life. Mm-hmm. Can change the whole trajectory of their life. This one's going to be a good one, because I like this one. Is there a difference between having high self-esteem and being arrogant?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, because I feel like you could have high self-esteem. You could have like things that you love about yourself and things that you want to see yourself accomplish, but it's just how you go about it. Like,
tell me more.
Like for me, it's like I consider myself very humble. So I think I'm very, very beautiful. I think I'm very beautiful inside and out.
Beautiful
and
too.
I
Inside and out, girl.
I think I definitely think for me, I try not to, even though I know that I'm great at a lot of things, I try not to speak on it a lot. And sometimes maybe people will be like, oh, like you need to, it's like with the book, like we had a client, he was taking their pictures. He's a photographer too. So he was taking their pictures, and then he told them about the book, and they were like, oh my gosh, your wife booked the appointment. She talked to me so many times and she didn't tell me she wrote a book. And for me, I'm just kind of like, it just didn't click to me. But other people, it like, and it's not a bad thing, but I feel like for me, it's, I don't know. I just like some things to me is not that serious. Like, and I just kind of.
There's a lot of things to me that's just not.
Yeah, I just kind of like take the backseat a lot to a lot of things. I could be in a conversation or be out in a group with a group of people, and they're talking about, oh, I'm like this, my husband is like this, my children are like this, I have this, and for me, I don't feel the need that I have to put all the things out there, the qualities, and like I know my husband have qualities, I know my children does, I know that I have great things about me, but I feel like I don't have to share everything, and that's just me. That's just how I am. That's just the humbleness in me. But someone else doing so, that doesn't mean that they're not humble or they're arrogant. It's just depending on how one may look at it or how it may come off.
How do you spot arrogance?
It's kind of, I guess the word that I can use is just pride. Like, how prideful are you? You know, like you could just spot when a person is just so prideful, and you're just kind of like, can you take it down a notch?
I got you. This one.
I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's what I
can help you out here. So like, I do believe there's a huge difference between high self-esteem and arrogance, because you can have confidence in yourself. You can see yourself as being a beautiful person. You can see yourself as, having it together. Even if you don't, if you can see yourself like that, you fake it till you make it, that's your self-esteem. You may not have it all together, but it's like, I got it all together. And you're like, yeah, you holding on to that and you walking in that.
Yeah, you don't have to let everybody know that you're timid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You like, you're like, I'm not the model type, but I'm a handsome individual.
Yes, you are.
Yes, indeed. I don't need I don't need anyone to tell me, because I know it. You ain't got to tell me. I know
and
that.
That's not arrogant.
That's not arrogance.
Like,
you know where the arrogant piece comes in is where it's, I'm better than you. The minute you start thinking, there it is. The minute you start thinking like, I'm better than you, it's like, whoa, your self-esteem just took on a whole nother level. I'm better than you. I'm too good for you.
But I feel like sometimes people do that without even realizing that they're doing that.
Oh, definitely.
So what does that say? What does that say about them? No, it just came to me. I'm like, okay, so if I'm acting like, because you could act like you're better than someone in different ways, but you may not realize that you're acting like that. But the person sitting down and looking is kind of like, why everything gotta be about you? Like, or why are you acting like that? And
that could be like, and there's a lot of terms that we could be throwing out if we want to get technical when it comes to, self-esteem and things like that. You could be arrogant and you can be narcissistic too.
Yeah.
Now the
narcissism
piece is when it's all about you.
You can't get yourself out of anything.
When it's all about you, that takes on a whole different type of arrogance, where we go into narcissism, where it's like, it has to be about you. There's no way anything can't be about you. Somehow, some way, I have to be in this situation for it to actually make sense. But I feel like, the arrogance piece is like, I'm so good, I'm better than you. The narcissism piece is the I'm so good, it's all about me. And they're right there side by side. They're like brother and sister, but I feel like you can still have a high self-esteem. You can still be confident without being narcissistic and without being arrogant. You can have confidence in yourself and your abilities, and you ain't gotta go and throw it in someone's face. It's like, oh, look at me, I can sing better than you. Oh, I look better than you.
But you know what?
My car's faster than yours.
But you know what? I was reading this book, and it's a really great book, The Woman Code, and I talk about this book so much. But I remember reading this part in it where it was saying that you have to show people how to treat you. Or you have to tell people how to treat you. So with that, I used to honestly, I've learned and I've come a long way. I used to let people just, because that's how it was when I was growing up. That's how in school, elementary, middle school, it was more so people would say whatever they want, and Sheikah would just smile and just, it doesn't bother me. But really deep down, it bothered me. So now that I'm older, I don't let people just say anything to me anymore. Like if you say something, that I'm gonna call you out, or not just me, but my family, my children, my husband. If anybody know me, my husband, my children, don't mess with this woman's
my
family. They are my everything.
Don't do it.
Not to say any other family members or not, but these are my immediate family, and you guys are everything to me. So if someone try to say anything, even if they don't mean it but if it comes off like that, I feel like I'm always quick to try to say, well, why you gotta do this, or why you gotta, because I feel like I have to defend, because I didn't have anybody doing that for me when I was younger. So I didn't feel like it. So I feel like I have to make sure I'm telling people how I want you to talk about my husband, how I want you to talk about my children, how I want you to talk about me, how do I want you to treat my family.
And I think that piece is an important piece. And I think for a long time, I let people get away with a lot of things. And just having a conversation with my older brother, I can't wait to get him on the podcast one of these days. He's like, man, you got to realize, you got to tell people or show people what they can and can't get away with you. Yeah. He's like, because if you continue to let people do whatever, they're gonna continue doing whatever.
That's how you want them to treat
and it's
you.
And that's the thing. And I think that comes with the self-worth piece of it. Self-worth. Where how you value yourself. Yeah. Because if you really start holding yourself at a high value, not everyone's going to be able to speak just any nonsense to you and feel like it's going to be okay. Yeah. People aren't going to be able to just do anything to you and think that it's going to be okay.
And I mean, there's a difference with also being, because I know for me at times, people will say stuff and I hear people say stuff, but even about my family, but I don't say anything right away. I kind of observe, because I like to give people a second. I like to give people
give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, you get the benefit.
That's how I am.
You get the benefit.
But when I see it consistently happening, then I'm that's when I have to say something. It's just like if
it's like a pattern of behavior.
It's like if I'm at work and my boss or my coworker may say something or did something to me, I may not talk about it right there and then. Or I know I don't talk about it right there and then. But say if it happened again, and I give people 3 chances most of the time.
Oh, you let them strike out?
Yeah,
strike
so
one,
if
strike
it happened again, I may
out?
not say nothing. But then if it happened again, I'm like, nope, I don't even care at this point. I'm going to say something. And that's how I am. But some people, they shut it down right away. For me, I'm not so jumpy to do that, because sometimes people don't realize what they're saying.
That's
and
true.
Sometimes they don't mean what comes out. Or
That one. Sometimes I have a hard time believing that people don't mean.
Sometimes they don't realize what they're saying or how it makes you feel. I guess that's just me giving people the benefit of the doubt, because I feel like
family, y'all gonna have to pray my deliverance, because if someone show me one thing and then want to get me to believe that they don't believe what they're showing me, that's hard for me. I have to.
Yeah.
I gotta admit that one's hard for me. If you show me something and be like, well, I didn't really mean it, then I'm like, but did you? You know, so I pray for your boy.
Yeah,
that piece is hard. I'm gonna say.
I mean, you always tell me. You always say, I give people so many chances.
It be like home run derby. You just be letting people swing and swing and swing, and you're like, I'm like, they ain't out yet. And you're like, they ain't out yet. I'm like, why you keep letting them swing? You're out, but.
But
she got that Jesus patience.
But,
yeah.
But it really does speak to who I am as a person.
True.
And not only that, but I feel like, and I always tell people, do not take my humility for weakness. Because it doesn't mean that because I'm so humble with certain things and certain things I let slide. That doesn't mean that I'm weak, because I know who God delivered, and I don't want to go back there. Like, I've been delivered for a reason, and I don't want,
Lord.
I don't want to go back there. Ooh, but so for Jesus. Me, I work hard. I work really hard at making sure that people don't bring out the worst in me,
and that's important. Like, honestly, that's important. And I think there's a few things that come with the whole self-esteem piece. I think some people honestly suffer from conditional self-esteem. It's like they have self-esteem, they have a decent self-esteem, but there's so much that's tied up in other people that it's like being on a scale. And it's like, depending on how they seek validation or how it's, given to them from people, it can tip their scale to either have them drop into the low category or it can boost them up into the high category. Wow. Whereas you can have, someone, and I'm not trying, this is just me. I'm a person who stays to myself. I enjoy the company of myself. And because of that, I feel like it allows me to form my own perspective of who I am. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I know things that I need to work on. So because I value the opinion of myself and not others, there's only so much that people can influence in the way that I look at myself. So, when people say, well, I don't like the way you do this, I'm like, it's okay. There's some things my wife doesn't like that I do. So you not liking it doesn't really bother me too much, because I understand that. I understand that.
And you have to come to an awareness of yourself.
I can be a lot. I know I can be a lot. Yeah. I can be a lot. I'm an interesting individual. I'm like a puzzle wrapped inside of a box, wrapped inside of another box, wrapped inside of another puzzle inside of a box. So there's a lot of little things about me that just don't make sense at times, but to me, they make perfect sense, and not everyone can get it. And you made the quote that we have. We talk about this quote all the time. I think I've come to a point in my life where I realize I'm not for everyone. And I'm okay with that, because it took me a while to get here. And now that I'm here, and now that I understand it, it's like that helps me to just be comfortable in who I am. And and I feel like a lot of people aren't comfortable in who they are.
Yes.
But it's like, and we as people, we have this habit. We try to project what we want people to see. But those pictures sometimes just aren't exactly who we are. So then we find ourselves on this scale.
Tipping.
Where we have who we want to be and versus who we are. And depending on how people pour into that jar of who we are can tip how it goes. And then it's like, well, I want to be like this, but I'm not like this. So it kind of drops me into now my self-esteem's a little low. Whereas, I feel like if we get comfortable in who we are and who we were created to be, and the, you know, the purpose and call and all that we have on our lives, and just being comfortable in the skin that we're in,
will be better.
A lot better, and we'll have a lot less issues with worrying about what other people are saying, other people are thinking, other people are doing.
You know what? This is a word. This is a word that can preach, to be honest, because it's like, no, this is a word, because so many people go through this feeling of like not being okay with who they are. And I know that was a struggle for me at one time, where you're trying to look for validation from others. And I swear, like, after my aunt passed away, it's like it just opened up a whole nother mindset for me, like, where it's like, don't look for others to make you happy. Don't look for others to boost your self-esteem. So I had to like really look into myself and become aware of who Sheikah is. And when I did that, I'm just kind of like, I learned some things about myself. And I learned why things may affect me the way they do. I learned why I may look for validation from others. And then I have to say, I will never be happy. Because you know what? 1 minute, someone will have something good to say, and the next person may not have something good to say.
That's true.
So now I'm kind of like left up in the air, like, oh my gosh, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Like, this one say this, but this one say, like, and you're so confused, and the scale keep going like up and down, up and down. It's like a roller coaster. So, and I learned, and I said to myself, like, and this is where I came up with this saying for myself, that, and I live by it, that I am not letting nothing disturb my peace. And
peace.
And the reason why I said this, because I realized that because I was looking for so much into people, or for people to pour into me, that it was like secretively I was not happy with myself. And when people are not around, or when I don't, like, you know, and when you don't hear what you want to hear, when people don't tell you what you want to hear, then it becomes like you're your worst critics. You're beating up on yourself. And one of my devotion the other day was like, be gentle with yourself. Yeah,
because we are our biggest
so
critics.
So I had to learn, like, no, everyone is not for me. And I'm not for everybody.
Nope.
And I have to be okay with that. I have to find who I am for and who is for me, and be okay with that. And even if there's nobody for me, Sheikah has to be okay with herself.
There's almost 8 billion people in this world.
So
even if 99% of them ain't for you, you still got like 7 million who are.
Because it's not worth it. And I look at it when my aunt passed away, I'm like, life is so short that one day you could be here and the next day you're not. So are you going to live your life worrying about what people think about you?
And this really brings me to this thought that you really sparked with that. Well, where you went there is like, at this point in life for me, and like I said, it took me a while to get here. Like, you have to be comfortable in your self-identity. You have to really understand who you are.
And be okay with it.
And really be okay with it. Yeah. And for me, like I said, you know, I keep a really small circle. And the reason for doing so is because, like you said, like, I can't let people disrupt my peace. Like, there's a certain, like, once you get a hold of peace of mind,
it feels
you will do anything to preserve it.
Yep.
You will do anything to preserve it.
It's true.
And I've come to a point where I know who I am. I'm comfortable in who I am. And if people are not comfortable with who I am, they have two choices. They can either adjust or so long, bye-bye. But I can't afford to try to live my life to please people, because people will always have something to say.
People are inconsistent.
And this is what I had to learn. If you're doing good,
People have something to say.
People have something
if
to
you're
say.
doing bad.
If you're doing bad, people have something to say.
Yeah, it's true.
If you're being successful, people have something to say. If you're
not
failing, people have something to say. So I would rather focus on what God says about me
Yes.
than what people says about me.
Yeah. And honestly, this is another thing that I've learned. And thank God for quarantine, because it really bring about self-awareness in you.
Quarantine's been a little bit fun for me.
So it's kind of like, I'm like, all I really care about is what God thinks about me.
Yeah.
And I know what he thinks about me, you know, and I know why he created me. I know from I was like in my mother's womb, he knew who I was going to be. He knew me. Like he knew the purpose he had for me. So because he knew me and I know his purpose and his plan is to give me an expected end. It's not to harm me or cause me any harm. So because of that, I'm like, God, I only care what you think about me. And as human, we do, you know, secretively like or subconsciously think about care what people think.
Yeah, we do.
Because we're human.
There is that piece there where you're like,
but you know what though?
People to think
but you know what
me.
it is though? Who is it that matters? Like you have to really think about who is in your who are the people that you're worrying about or who are the people that you want to care about you, or I think I'm confusing myself a little bit, but like
who are the people you're seeking approval from?
Yes.
Boom, got you. You see that? I got you.
All right. So yes. So for me, I don't have too many. So because of that, and I have the few that I do look up to and I do respect, and not to say, you know, I respect a lot of people, but not too many people's opinion really I care about.
Carries weight.
Yeah. So because of that, I'm able to live in peace because I can't just care about everybody's opinion.
No, you can't let people have, and we talked about this on an earlier episode, you can't let everyone have access to you.
Yeah, then it's going to be too
really,
much.
It's really
like
that
there's
simple.
no way you'll be able to like survive and be happy. It's too much. So
just won't happen.
Yeah, it just won't happen.
All right, I could go on this episode. There's a lot that we could really jump in.
Yeah.
In this episode.
And if we forget anything that anybody would like to say, like have anything that they want to add, please do, you know.
I want to really just really leave with this last piece, and I want you to you can start off on this, but if you have like someone who's struggling with the self-esteem issues, self-worth issues, what are some like pieces of advice that you could give them to help them, you know, to like really work through this? What are some things, like if you could say, you know what, I want to leave you with this to think about, to really, you know, push towards, to help you with this thing that you're going through, with this thing that you're dealing with, you know, what would that be for someone? Like if you have someone who's struggling with low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth, like what would you say to them to like really help them in this moment?
What I would say is just be comfortable with you.
Woo, there it is.
Be okay with you, because you know what? Not everyone is perfect. You're not perfect.
I'm
the
not
person
perfect.
that you're looking at and you're looking at like, oh my gosh, they look like they have it all together. No, they don't. They're not perfect either. So because of that,
everyone's working on something.
Everyone is working on something. So because of that, you really have to be okay with who you are. I'm pretty sure that everyone, they don't like everything about them. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna work at it. Work at yourself. Work at the things that you think that you don't like about yourself. And for me, I know I can't change everything about myself, but I know that God can. So I pray and I write down the things like, God, this is stuff that I have that I don't like, and only you alone can help me through this. And that's what I do. I bring it to God and I said, I need you to help me through this. Whatever I'm struggling with, help me, Lord, through it, because I can't do it alone. And because I know I can't do it alone, I need you to help me and guide me through it. So the big number one thing is that you have to just be comfortable with you. Be okay with the skin that you're in. You can't look at everyone and just say, okay, that one have it together, that one have it together, because you don't know what they're going through. And if you do know what they're going through or what they went through, you'll be like, yep, I can't, that fire that he had, what he had going on, if that was me, would I be able to go through that fire? Would I be able to go through that storm? No. So you don't know what people are going through. So because of that, just be okay with you. Be happy with you. And that's what I have to say, because that's where I am right now. I am happy with me. And ain't nobody can come and tell me not to other than God. Like, I am okay and happy with who I am, where I'm at. And if I'm not happy with something about myself, I know who to go to.
I know who I am.
Yeah.
I think if I could steal some of the things that you said, I'm going to steal one of the things that you said, for my last tidbit. It would be, this, don't be too critical on yourself.
Yeah, be gentle with yourself.
Because I know for me, like, I'm super analytical, critical on myself with certain things. And along those lines, I would say just try to figure out who you are. Because I feel like the identity piece, if you don't understand who you are, you'll never really grasp your purpose. You'll never really understand, the value that comes along with you.
And I don't want to cut you off, but I don't want to forget.
She's trying to steal my thunder.
I don't want to forget, but this is something that I been telling myself, and I'm a Christian, so yes, I do look into the scripture for affirmations and stuff like that. So I know the Bible tells me that I am fearfully
and wonderfully,
and I am wonderfully made by God. So because I am fearfully and wonderfully made by Him, I am beautiful inside and out. I am precious. I am a gem. I am a vessel that not everyone can have access to.
And she's all mine, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed.
So not everyone can have access to what I'm carrying because it's something special. And that's what I tell myself. So I have to guard my heart. The Bible says, guard your heart with all diligence. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
Can I have it back?
I feel like praising. All right. I know we're not in church.
Man.
That one just, yes.
So along the lines of identity, and this is why I went with the identity piece. I like how you said that, fearfully and wonderfully made. Along that piece of identity, what I would say is this. When I say, know and understand who you are, the reason I say this is because we have a lot of mixed ideas of who we are sometimes. We don't really grasp who we are. We don't, and that causes us to miss out on the purposes and things that God has in store for us. But what I wanted to really get at with the whole, identifying who you are is this last piece right here. God never makes a mistake.
Ooh. Say it again, babe.
God never makes
Wait, say it again. Mistake. It's that good. Say it again.
God never makes a mistake. Because sometimes we think somehow God may have messed up. God may have forgotten to give us something that we need. God may have somehow, just mixed up his potion of like when he was mixing in the sand and was like, give him a little part of this, a little part of that, mold it and make this beautiful individual. God does not ever make a mistake. He is intentional about everything that he does. So when he was making you, when he was making me,
yes.
When he was creating us into who and fashioning us into who he would have us to be, he didn't do it by accident. It was purposeful. It was intentional.
Done, yes.
And everything that he gave us was a beautiful masterpiece for what he wanted to create.
Yes. Ooh.
He doesn't make mistakes. So when you identify who you are, that in and of itself should help to let you know that, you're worth something. You're worth something of value because that's how God created you. He took the time. And I'm always amazed at this last piece. And I'll drop it here. Creator of the universe in Genesis chapter 1, when he was, hovering over and he looked and he said, let there be. And it was. That's all he did. Let there be.
Just
let there be
it.
sun. Boom.
Speak it.
Came. Let there be, light. There was. Let there be, water and creatures and all these things. Let there be, let there be, let there be, let there be. That's what he was doing. But when it came time for us, the one who spoke everything in existence, got down into the mud, started fashioning this being. And he's like, you know what? We're going to make man in our image. And he didn't speak for us to have life, but he breathed the breath that he had into us. And that's what caused us to live. So we have to be something special.
Yeah.
He called animals to come forth. He called the earth to come forth. But for us, he actually took time to fashion and form us into his likeness and then breathed his breath into our lungs.
Yes.
Doesn't make mistakes.
No mistakes.
You
so
are
you're
something,
not a mistake.
you are something
not a
of
mistake.
value.
Even if your parents are like, well, you know what? I wasn't supposed to get pregnant with you. I was on birth control.
Ha.
You are not a mistake.
99.99% effective. And God was like, ha, look what I can do.
You are not a mistake.
Never a mistake.
Ooh,
but he's intentional about what he does. So
that's the word. Be
with
blessed,
that being
guys.
said, have an amazing week. We pray that, you would just continue rocking with us. Like, subscribe to the episode. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And remember, death and life are in the power of your tongue. So make sure you speak life. Make sure to go and look at the Patreon. And if you want to support the podcast, join us as we try to take this podcast to the next level. Be blessed.
Be blessed, guys.
Have an amazing week.
All right. See you later.